those years, which was in healthcare, working in dialysis, and landed me back in Santa Cruz. And you know, after a while there, it just all of a sudden, you know, dialysis, nobody ever gets any better. So it's the redundancy of it. I finally just kind of burned out on healthcare. I've been doing it for 30 years. And I sort of woke up one day and I said, you know, I remember for years and years and years reading Rolling Stone magazine, and seems like the second to last page always had this advertisement for Full Sail.
Yeah.
Recording, real world education they called it. And it was primarily a recording school in the beginning 28 years ago in Florida. And I thought, you know, that's probably what I'd like to do, is just, well, you know, Jack, as we've played over the years, we've had to play with the soundboards and tweak this and tweak that. And I said, I really ought to try to learn the technical side as much as I could. And I told my parents, I said, you know, 35 years later, I finally found a college I'd like to attend. And they said, well, okay. So then once again, I packed everything up and moved to Florida and enrolled in school. And that was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good experience. So.
Yeah, so you initially enrolled in the recording
arts program.
Yeah.
They have, the school has a recording arts program, and it has a film and computer animation and digital media, entertainment, business and law, and show production and touring. And I started in recording arts thinking, well, the older I get, I don't need to travel. I just sit down somewhere and they come to me and I'll record. And that's fun. And then it's all very computerized now. So, you know, at our age, we were a little bit late. You know, the kids these days are right in on top of it, and they're just amazing with what they do. But the other thing, the realization I came to was that out of my playing career, I would say, you know, 80% of it was on stage live and 20% was in the studio. And it seemed to me, with what they were actually teaching us at school about, you know, what everybody can do at home now, the quality recording they can get, studios, you know, unless it's a signed artist, they're not being used as much. So I thought, well, maybe opportunity would be better served if I go and do show production and touring. And that was just the smartest move I made. Yeah. I mean, I lost a couple of months in there doing the trade, but it was, you know, I was at home when I got there. It just made total sense. And, you know, because of that, I've learned huge mixing consoles and live sound reinforcement and lighting as well, and video production as well. And, you know, and it's just like I was a kid in a candy store. It was, you know, a lot of good stuff there. So, yeah, I'm glad I made that move. And I ended up graduating with a degree.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, one of the things that I found interesting when we talked about it was that your graduation exercise, as it were, was a production of a full concert.
Yeah, the final test, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that really impressed me about that, and I think we'll go over maybe to this camera, is our viewers should find this interesting. This is a production handbook for a show. And it looks to be a textbook for a whole year, and in a sense it is. It's the final test.
Exactly.
But there's everything in here for our show, and it's going to be difficult for you to see, but here's
that's a list of the touring crew.
This is the crew that it takes to put on a show of the magnitude that you see when you go to Shoreline or HP Pavilion. We've got lighting, camera, front of house, back of house, catering. They're all in there.
Everybody.
Yeah. We'll just skip through here because it's...
Yeah, we need a magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. A plot of the venue so you can plan where you're going to put the people, the catering, dressing rooms, where artists go to unwind away from their managers. A lot of interesting stuff in here. Plot plans for signal flow. We've done a few shows down here where does the headsets go? Who's got the microphones?
Exactly.
And this is all documented in here. People watching the show may want to talk to Tony at some time about what he learned there, maybe even talk to the Full Sail people, because I've been to a few shows, even at venues like Shoreline, where the guys hadn't done their homework.
Yeah.
But so you did the show. Part of the production was some video. I believe we've got queued up some interesting things from that. If we could go to the opening intro. So that was the production opener that the school used at every show?
Every show, Define Your Future. And when you would, that would start our show. You'd be rolling that, and then once that was done, however the show was put together would start. Sometimes it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and they just come in, and other times it would be, something might be scripted beforehand or whatnot.
Yeah. And you ran several video screens. That was part of the coursework, was learning how to tie that all together?
Yeah, on our particular final lab show, we had projection in the back of the upstage side, behind the drummer, and 4 plasmas in the house, and a projection screen in the green room for the artist. And that was all tied into, obviously you have a front of house mix, and then you have a monitor mix, and then you have a broadcast mix. Guys in there on a 48 channel board for the audio signal for video. And then we have another guy in a remote room doing a simulcast for the artists. When they come to school and do these shows, they leave that night with a CD of their performance. They always played a 50-minute set, except for this final show where we would have, as many as some groups had three acts. We settled for 2, and they walk out of there with some media when they're done. That's the trade-off for helping us out, and they get the free exposure and a good place to practice with pro gear.
And a live audience.
And a live audience.
We actually have a couple of clips of that. If we could roll the second clip, which you talked about kicking off the show. I particularly like this one.
Good evening,
and then,
welcome to Full Sail Axiom Productions. This is our last big show. And accordingly, one of the things I have to do to document this is I want everyone to smile. Thank you very much. Hope you're here for a real good time tonight. We want to start things off with one of our instructors and his wife, who are fantastic. Please make welcome to the stage Logan and Yvonne.
yeah, there's the Tony I know.
Yeah.
Nice shirt, too.
Thanks. It's the only one I own.
Well, you're a musician. You can't afford much for wardrobe.
That's right.
So you talked about you had these multi-channel boards. How many channels were in the front of the house?
Front of house, we had 2. We were using a Soundcraft that originally had 56 channels. And that seemed, the power supply blew like about a week before our show. So we ended up with a Midas Heritage 1000, which is a 48 channel board, which was more than sufficient.
Yeah.
Then we had a Midas Heritage 3000 on monitors. And an old Midas, I want to say Sienna, I think it was, in the broadcast room, and then in the simulcast we were using a Yamaha digital DM2000. So and they have, the interesting thing about it was, that's all the big gear in the rooms and stuff, but they have labs there where you walk in, and you have 6 positions, 7 counting the instructors, and at each position you'll have a 32 channel Midas mixing board with all your outboard processing gear and your video screens, to where they're actually called mix labs, and you go in there and you mix every different shows, not just your own but other people's, and it gives you the hands-on experience of mixing. And then the teacher compares them at their board. They can compare everything, and the class, they usually would vote on whose mix they like the best.
Yeah. So on this show, I know that we're going to look at a little bit of video for that in just a minute, but how many tracks of audio did you capture? You did a CD live for a stereo mix and a simulcast, but how many tracks were they capturing?
We were actually using, it's in the book, and my memory being what it is, I'm going to say, well, obviously with Yvonne and Logan, we were only taking 2.
Right.
Plus we also used 2 house ambient mics,
right,
just to give us sound from the room. So 4 for their set. For the band, it was 3 guitars and bass, 4, and 3 vocals, 7, and the drums I think were mic'd up 8. So, and the ambient. So you're close to 20, on their particular. Well, plus we were using a Digicart 360 for canned applause to make the room sound like it was bigger than it was. That was our front of house engineer's idea. He loved that little toy, so we used that. But so you're basically talking about 20 channels total.
Yeah. Well, I was very impressed with the quality. We're going to go to a clip of Logan and Yvonne now, and I would like our viewers to notice not just the song, which is interesting and is one of theirs, but that there is ambient sound. This is a remix of the 4 channels that you initially captured. Also, you can see a little bit of the lighting changing and the big screen in the back, which is why I picked this clip, because you get a feel for the immense production that goes into even with just a duo performing. So if we could roll that now, that'd be kind of interesting, I hope.
is another original. It was originally called Song of Us. Now we just change it to Serenity Isle.
Sun rises from the east and shines a light on me. Melodies like a breeze come flowing through the trees. Lift us up and carry us to a place far away. Drop us off at the edge of the rainbow. Picking up the pieces of a time now slipped away. Lost but not forgotten songs within our hearts forever stay. I still remember the first time I laid eyes on you. You were young and beautiful, draped in shades of blue. And I thought I could lock all those doors you'd hid behind. The walls came down, baby, let me in. Drinking in the beauty of what's left behind to stay. Lost but not forgotten songs within our heart forever stay. Float upon our isle serenity, watching all the people swim in cold, black, desperate sea. And they're drowning in sorrow, pain, and misery. And we rise above it all, we rise above it all. You and I float upon our isle serenity. They try to drag us down, so they refuse to see that their chains can't bind us. This love will set us free. We rise above it all, rise above it all. You and I sitting upon a mountain oh so high. We were meant to stay forever till the day we die. Happy, sad, good and bad, we will not forget all the things that came before this love. Drinking in the beauty of what's left behind to stay. Lost but not forgotten songs within our heart forever stay. You and I float upon our isle serenity, watching all the people swim in cold, black, desperate sea. And they're drowning in sorrow, pain, and misery. And we rise above it all, we rise above it all. You and I float upon our isle serenity. They try to drag us down, so they refuse to see that their chains can't bind us. This love will set us free. And we rise above it all, rise above it all. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I know that as one of the team leaders of this project, your big part of your job was to get the entertainment, and clearly you went within the school to get one of your teachers, but how does they get entertainment for these acts?
Well, basically the school itself has a Rolodex full of everybody that wants to do this, and one of the teachers that's the liaison for the school was a former drummer with Molly Hatchet, Dale Rock, and he became one of my good friends, and I ended up dropping keyboard tracks in his for his band. But he basically allowed me to get into the Rolodex, so I could, when we had all the other labs, we could bring them in. I could, have a, contact the band beforehand and get a stage plot and all that. So that led us to having all the different acts that we had during the course of the year. And originally we were going to go with the band, with Dale's band, and I was going to play with them, but we didn't get our date till too late. So it was thumb through the Rolodex time and find the right bands. And Logan was nice enough to do it for us. He was a great instructor. And Linda Nunez, the other act we had played with us before, felt that the key thing with her was that not only was she fairly dynamic, she was available.
Yeah.
So that pretty much surmised what we were doing there.
Yeah, I ended up actually doing one of those shows because I happened to come down and we needed a slot.
And there you go.
So
availability is a big thing.
Tony, I'd like to thank you for coming down, talking to us about the Full Sail experience.
My
and
pleasure.
A little bit about music in the San Jose area, and we're going to go out with Linda Nunez.
Thanks, bro.
You got it.